Hello everyone and welcome back to the Kubernetes Zero to Hero series. Let's talk about one of the most dangerously misunderstood components in the entire cloud native ecosystem, Kubernetes secrets. Imagine a security auditor walks into your office. They ask you how you manage sensitive production data like your database passwords and API keys. You confidently smile, open up your terminal and say, "Don't worry, we are using native Kubernetes secrets. Look, it's a completely separate resource type." The auditor looks at the screen, copies a long string of text out of your secret manifest, runs a short three-word command, and within few seconds, your raw plain text database password is fully exposed on the screen. Your confidence evaporates, your stomach drops. The truth is, out of the box, Kubernetes secrets are not encrypted. They're only base 64 encoded. And that's a huge difference every Kubernetes engineer should understand. Today, we are going to bust the biggest myth in Kubernetes security. Look at how Kubernetes actually work under the hood and learn how to secure them like a seasoned platform engineer. Let's look at the problem statement. In the previous video, we learned that config maps are perfect for non-sensitive configuration like log levels and application settings. But what happens when the configuration contains sensitive information like passwords, API keys, or certificates? If you drop a database password into a standard config map, you run into two severe compliance roadblocks: accidental leakage in logs. So if someone runs a standard kubectl get config map -o YAML command, your production passwords leak natively onto the terminal screen. Anyone checking cluster statuses or viewing pipeline logs will see them instantly. And the second is lack of intentional isolation. System components, operators, and developers need to read plain config maps all the time, but secrets require strict specialized access control walls. To solve this, Kubernetes introduced an object called a secret. But here is a massive problem. Because it is named a secret, thousands of engineering teams assume it securely encrypts their data. It does not. By default, Kubernetes secrets merely uses base 64 encoding. Anyone who has access to the encoded value can decode it in seconds. No secret key is required. It is simply a way to transform characters so that binary data can pass safely through APIs without breaking web protocols. It is the architectural equivalent of hiding your house key under the doormat and assuming your home is secure because the key is out of sight. So let's understand what a Kubernetes secret actually is and how it behaves inside the cluster. Think of Kubernetes secret like a sealed envelope used in corporate offices. When you put your password inside the envelope, you write the data on the inside paper using a specific format, which in this case is base 64. And if the envelope is sitting on your desk, someone walking past can't immediately read the message through the paper. That keeps it clean and safe from accidental glances. However, if anyone opens the envelope, they can instantly read exactly what is written inside without needing a security key. So what exactly is a Kubernetes secret? So Kubernetes secret is a dedicated resource object designed to hold a small amount of sensitive data. It is very similar to a config map in the way applications consume it, but it is specifically designed to store sensitive information. So when your application pod consumes a secret, Kubernetes automatically opens the envelope. It decodes the base 64 values on the fly and presents the raw plain text strings directly to your application containers, either as environment variables or as data files mounted to the file system. Now, there are three common types of secrets you will encounter. The first is opaque. Now, this is the default type used for general key value secrets like passwords. The second is kubernetes.io/TLS. Now, this is specifically formatted to hold SSL and TLS certificates and private keys. The third is kubernetes.io/dockerconfig.json. Now, this is used to store registry credentials, so nodes can pull images from private repositories. Let's open up the terminal and look at this mechanical behavior live. So here are my files. So I have the secret.yaml, I have the deployment.yaml. I have this in my GitHub repo as well. I'll share the link to this in the description section. So I'm using the same files in my local as well. Now the first thing is that we will need to create our secret. Now to create the secret, we will need to first encode our password. So let's say your password is something like super secure password 123 or something like that. You will need to first convert that, or you need to encode that into base 64 strings. For that, you can use this command echo-n your password. So let's say strong password, something, whatever the password that you want to use, and then base 64. Now what this will do is this will convert your plain text into base 64 strings. This is what you will need to pass within your secret.yaml. Now remember, this long string that you see here, this isn't encrypted. It's simply another representation of the same password. All right. So anyone who has access to this, they can easily decode this. So let's say, for example, if I wanted to see what is actual of what is actual value of this, I can say echo, and then I will say base 64, and then I'll say decode, and here I should be able to see the same password. So it is not encrypted. All right. Now we will go to our secret.yaml file, and this is where you will be using that particular password. So in my case, I've already used the base 64 encoding. So here we are creating a secret. I have my metadata. I'm telling that I want to create this in the finance namespace, and this is the type. So remember, I said we have opaque, we have kubernetes.io/tls, and there's one more. So here I'm telling I want to create an opaque, which is simply a key value pair. And what is the password that you want to use? So this is my base 64 encoded value. Let's go ahead and apply this. So kubectl apply -f secret.yaml, and this should create the secret for me. All right. Now let's verify how Kubernetes masks this data to protect it from accidental views. So let's do a kubectl get secrets, and this is the secret name. And here you can see I have my secret, the type, how many data, so basically how many key value pairs I have, and when this was created. Now this is Kubernetes trying to protect accidental exposure. But notice that it does not stop someone with permission from retrieving the actual value. But here is where the illusion shatters. If an engineer has RBAC permissions to read the secret manifest, they can easily pull the manifest structure using the YAML format. So here I can do this -o YAML, and here you can see I'm able to see the base 64 encoded value, and then I can easily decode it, right? So I can say echo, I will take this base 64, and then I'll say base 64 and then decode the value. So here you can see this is my actual value in plain text. So it's not really encrypted, it is just base 64 encoded. So that's basically how we make use of your secret. So whenever you have any sensitive information and you don't want to keep anything in the plain text format, we make use of your secrets. All right. Now the next step is, once you're done creating your secrets, how do you use this with your deployments and your pods? So inside your manifest file, so in my case I have the deployment.yaml. So same as how we did with your config map, you can pass your secrets two ways. One, you can pass it as an environment variable, and you can also mount it as a file inside the container. So here you can see this is my deployment. So we're creating a deployment. In the namespace I have one replicas, so everything remains the same. Now this is where we are calling the secret. So you can see I'm setting a variable, environment variable. What is the name of the environment variable, and then from where we are getting the value. So you can see value from, I'm telling get it from a secret key reference. What is the name of the secret, and what is the key I should be looking for. So this, whatever we have inside the secrets.yaml, the value will be stored as an environment variable within my container. That's one option. The other option, you can also mount it as a file. So you can see volume mounts, the name, and then where do you want to store it, and I'm telling that, hey, this will be a read only, and then here we are passing the secrets. So volume, so this name and this name should match, and then I'm telling the secrets, you can pick it from here. So basically, we are telling that, hey, the secrets is available, just refer that, read it from there and pass it to the container. Now let's go ahead and apply this. So we'll say kubectl apply -f deployment.yaml, and this will create the containers for me. So kubectl get deployment. So here's my deployment, and kubectl get pods, and here is the pod that we have. All right, so here I have my secrets as well. So there's my secret and there's my pod, and if we describe this, so let's say describe pod and the name of the pod, I should be able to see the details. You can see environment, the password, and you can see password is being passed from here, and also we are also mounting it as a file, and you can see this we are setting it as read only. So this is where we are storing it, right? Now let's see how this gets stored inside the container. So let me get the pod and let's connect to this container. So kubectl exec hyphen hyphen sh. Oh, sorry. Um, should use a space. Yeah. So I'm inside the container. So the first thing is we'll check our environment variables, right? And here, if you see, there is my password. So this is how we are passing it as an environment variable, right? So you can see here how, though I had encoded the value within my secrets.yaml file, Kubernetes automatically decoded it and passed the actual value to my pod. This is the environment variable, and if you go to the path, so here also I should be able to see my secret. So here you can see the password, and if I read this file, the same password is available here as well. So this is coming from my volumes, this particular section, and the value that we are seeing over here is coming from my environment variables, right? So that's how we can store our sensitive information as a secret, and then we can pass it to our containers. So that's the whole point of your secret. So at any point you have sensitive information like password, API keys and everything, you will need to make use of your Kubernetes secrets to encode it and then pass it to your containers. Now, finally, the time is to clean up, so you can go ahead and clean it up. All right, so now let's look at real world production examples. How do top tier enterprises like Netflix, Uber, Amazon, or Flipkart secure their operational ecosystems if native secrets aren't encrypted out of the box? They implement a defense in-depth security model. So first is they use encryption at rest for etcd. So etcd is where the raw data of your cluster is stored, right? So it's a distributed database. So platform engineers configure the Kubernetes control plane to use an external provider like AWS, KMS, or Google Cloud KMS to automatically encrypt secret values before they are committed to disk inside etcd. So even if someone steals the physical hard drives of the master nodes, the secrets remain completely unreadable. Then next is using external secrets operators. So enterprise teams rarely write base64 strings into Git repository. Instead, they store their source passwords inside highly secure vaults like HashiCorp vaults, AWS Secrets Manager, or Azure Key Vault. So they deploy an external secrets operator inside the cluster that secretly pulls the passwords from the enterprise vault and synchronizes them dynamically into ephemeral native Kubernetes secrets on the fly. And the last one is strict RBAC control. So access to view secrets via the API is heavily locked down using fine-grained role-based access control policies. Normal developers are granted permissions to modify deployments, but are completely blocked from running kubectl get secrets. Now let's look at some of the common native questions that we can expect from here. The first question we have is, are native Kubernetes secrets encrypted by default? The answer is no. By default, Kubernetes secrets are merely base64 encoded, not encrypted. They are stored as plain text inside the etcd data store unless the cluster administrator has explicitly configured encryption at rest using KMS provider. The next question is, what is the main operational difference between passing data via data versus string data in a secrets manifest? The answer for this is the data field requires all configuration values to be pre-encoded into base64 strings before the manifest is applied. Whereas if you're using string data, it allows you to write the values in plain text for convenience. Kubernetes will automatically convert those into base64 strings behind the scenes when the file is applied. The next question is, how do you protect sensitive cluster secrets from being read by unauthorized developers? For this, you can implement fine-grained role-based access control policies that explicitly omit get, list, and watch verbs for secret resources within the target namespaces, roles, while keeping their access open for standard deployments and pods. So to wrap up everything, Kubernetes secrets are excellent vehicle for separating your application runtime configs from sensitive parameters. However, always remember that their Native isolation relies on base64 encoding, which offers absolutely zero encryption security on its own. Protect your production clusters by securing etcd storage layers, implementing strict RBAC configurations, and delegating secret generation tasks to external security vaults. And that brings us to the end of this session. In the next session, we will look at the 3 ways to pass configs in Kubernetes. If you found this session helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more content, and share with your circle. It really helps the channel grow. If you have any feedback, please leave them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next session.